Bovine Spongiform Encephalopathy, or BSE, is a slow, progressive, fatal disease of the central nervous system of cattle. Scientific evidence suggests that BSE is associated with a rare human disease called variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The consequence of BSE infection is a fatal, incurable brain-wasting disease in cattle, which can be transmitted by the consumption of infected animal byproducts. Diagnosis of the disease is difficult, and preventing BSE is the only safeguard. There are no treatments and no vaccines are available. The financial impact of just one positive animal can be devastating to an individual operation, but due to the effect on markets, it can cost the industry billions of dollars as well. Everyone must do their part to protect our products for our consumers. This segment will deal with what you as a feed manufacturer or feed warehouse must do to prevent BSE. Manufacturer component. Every individual involved in the manufacturing, handling, and movement of livestock feeds in your operation must do their part to ensure that the feed supplied to your customers are free of contaminants that could spread BSE. The type of feeds and feed ingredients that are handled by your firm will determine the amount of effort and training required to comply with the BSE regulations. Nebraska may have almost every type of operation possible when we think about the different ways that prohibited protein may or may not be used in livestock feeds. During this segment, we'll try to address the major areas, but if you have questions, please call the Nebraska Department of Agriculture or visit with your NDA inspector during their next visit to your firm. Several statements in their simplest form cover your responsibilities. Do not contaminate ruminant feeds or ingredients with prohibited materials. If handling feeds with prohibited and non-prohibited materials, prevent cross-contamination and commingling by separation or cleanout and proper labeling. You must have written procedures of separation or cleanout methods and documentation of cleanout if handling prohibited and non-prohibited feeds. What is the purpose and scope of this regulation? Title 21, Part 589, Sections 2000 and 2001 of the Code of Federal Regulations is the law governing prohibited products in animal feeds. These regulations provide multiple levels of protection at all levels and segments of the livestock production systems to ensure potentially infective material is not only removed but would not be able to be included in the feeds of susceptible animals. The Food and Drug Administration, working with your Nebraska Department of Agriculture, are responsible for working with producers and other industry segments to ensure a safe feed supply is available to your livestock. This is done through inspections at feed mills, feed warehouses, and on livestock operations. Samples are analyzed from both finished feeds and ingredients to look for the prohibited products at all parts of the feed supply. As a manufacturer or handler of feed, there are 5 key areas of responsibility within your control to prevent BSE. First, be aware. You may be handling feed ingredients that cannot be fed to cattle or other ruminants. This will require knowledge of what ingredients are prohibited and observing caution statements for those feeds and ingredients while in your control. Remember that retail pet food may contain prohibited materials but do not require the caution statement. Second, labeling. If you are handling prohibited materials, you must label outgoing feeds containing prohibited material with the caution statement, "Do not feed to cattle or other ruminants." This statement must be prominent, conspicuous, and easily read. It must also appear with other labeling information. Third, mixing and handling. If you're handling both prohibited and non-prohibited feed products, you must do one of the following. Separation, using different equipment to handle prohibited and non-prohibited rations. This includes mixers, conveying equipment, and temporary storage such as holding bins. Clean out. This can be accomplished by physical cleaning, which includes such methods as sweeping, vacuuming, and/or washing of feed mixing and handling equipment. Flushing and/or sequencing. This involves cleaning equipment by running an adequate volume of the non-prohibited feed product through the equipment. The flush product is then considered prohibited. Fourth, receiving and shipping. A potential source of contamination occurs during the transfer of ingredients and feeds. Firms should have procedures in place to document that trucks transporting bulk feeds are either dedicated to non-prohibited loads or have been cleaned since the last load, and what was the last load hauled. Prior to unloading ingredients, workers responsible for receiving should check invoices to know what they are receiving. Before loading out, shippers should look inside the carrier to ensure that it is clean and free from contamination. Any spills or breaks from bulk or packaged feed should be cleaned up appropriately. Fifth, record keeping. Document what was done with products containing prohibited materials, including retail pet foods, throughout the receipt, processing, and distribution. Separation or cleanout record should include how the equipment is cleaned, who is responsible, how cleanout is monitored and verified, how volume of flush material was determined and handled. Keep records for at least 1 year. Terminology. Numerous times we've addressed prohibited protein products, non-prohibited animal protein products, or exempted protein products. Let's take a few moments and make sure that there is a firm understanding of what each of these classifications mean. Animal protein products are any protein products derived from an animal origin. It includes all mammalian products as well as poultry and marine or fish-derived proteins. These are from any part of the animal, and examples include meat and bone meal, blood meal, feather meal, and milk products. Prohibited protein products. These proteins are considered prohibited if they come from cattle or other ruminants or any mammal unless specifically exempted. Exempt animal protein products. The following products are exempt or non-prohibited: blood or blood products, milk products, and gelatin. The following non-ruminant proteins are exempt or non-prohibited: pure porcine or pork proteins, pure equine or horse proteins, poultry, marine, or fish. The following are exempt or non-prohibited because they do not contain protein or tissue: grease, fats, oils, amino acids, dicalcium phosphate. Tallow, that is fat derived from cattle, is exempt if it contains no more than 0.15% insoluble impurities. There are also classifications for tallow with more than 0.15% insoluble impurities that may be used in non-ruminant rations, and a classification for uses other than in animal rations. Observe the labeling to ensure proper utilization. SIMPATH stands for Cattle Material Prohibited in Animal Feed. A change in the regulation went into effect in 2009 to enhance the level of protection for the animal feed supply. Specifically, the brains and spinal cords from cattle 30 months of age and older must be removed and cannot be used for animal feed. Products from this source, with the exception of tallow with no more than 0.15% insoluble impurities, must be labeled "Do not feed to animals." Additional information about SIMPATH will be located in the rendering section of this production. A complete list of animal byproducts normally found in animal feeds is included as a printable document on this media if viewed from a computer. Bright orange laminated cards listing prohibited and exempted products are available from your NDA inspector that you may post on your office or on your feed mill. More than 5 million tons of rendered animal proteins are used annually in the U.S. Remember that when considering the use of an animal byproduct in a ruminant ration, that it will either be prohibited and cannot be used in ruminant rations, or will be an exempt product and require proper record keeping to be correctly utilized. The Nebraska feed manufacturing industry has done a great job in implementing and adhering to the regulations necessary to prevent BSE. Continue to be diligent with observing the labels and invoices. Look for potential sources of contamination to prevent them before they occur. Train new employees in their duties and responsibilities in receiving, handling, and shipping feeds or ingredients. Educate staff on proper methods and documentation to ensure that feeds are properly formulated and comply with appropriate regulations. And offer refresher training to established and long-term employees to ensure that their knowledge is current with today's requirements. Everyone doing their part contributes toward the ultimate goal of preventing BSE. You can contact the Nebraska Department of Agriculture directly. Their phone number is area code 402-471-2341, or visit their website at www.agr.ne.gov, or the FDA website at www.fda.gov, or talk to your vet. Discuss it with your feed supplier, or visit your local UNL Extension office at www.yourcountyname.unl.edu.